Have you ever wondered what it was like in the first century when the book of Acts was being written? You know, you read about it here in the Bible, but what would it be like to live like that and experience the new and wondrous things were being taught? Well, Ukraine was sort of like that and is like that. And over the last 17 years, Jay Don's been there. I have not been there as long. It's kind of like a Gilligan's Island with him. He went there for a few years and ended up being there now 17. So he's doing a fantastic work. Jay Don is the director of the Ukrainian Bible Institute. It is a Sunset work. It works with Sunset International Bible Institute, and it's the Ukrainian branch that's there, and they're doing wonderful, wonderful things. He's here, his wife is here, and some of the kids, and that's really good as well. One thing I like about Jay Don is he embodies, and Mary Lee as well, what I call head, heart, and hands. And by that I mean, at school, you know, you get the book learning, but that only takes you so far. But if you can take that book learning and then put it into your heart and take Jesus into your heart and see and live the examples of love and servitude and things like that, that's important. And once you learn that, then you can take it out with the hands and actually live for Christ and show people how that works. And that's what Jay Don, Mary Lee, teach and model to the students. And for the last 17 years, they've made a tremendous impact in Ukraine, in the Donetsk region, which is now controlled by the Russian separatists, and now in Kyiv, where they have the school there. So tonight, what you'll see in his presentation, some of the video and PowerPoint slides is examples of what the school is doing, but more importantly, how these graduates are going out and making impact in this area, in this country, and where they're going for Christ, and it's tremendous. So I introduce to you Jay Don Rogers.
Thank you, Bob. It's marvelous to be with you this evening. I love this space down here reserved for the young people. That's great. I wish you could all come over to Ukraine, and you would enjoy the Ukrainian Bible Institute as well. It's a super thing that we've been involved in so many years. And we're glad that we can be a part of this great work. And we also want to just extend our thank you to you for helping with that work. The last couple of years, you guys have given to us some money that will help us in training preachers for Ukraine. And so we're very thankful for your help in that. Of course, I try to always explain that God does incredible things, glorious things. Whenever we're working for Him and when we're doing wonderful things for Him, it's amazing what He does. And so Mary Lee and I have really enjoyed being able to see so many of the great things that He has done. I think one of the most effective ways to grow the church in a foreign country is to be able to train native workers to preach the gospel and send them out to go do it. They go out and do the work. Now, we do work as well, but, you know, they do a far more effective work than we can do because they know the language, they know the culture, they know exactly how to reach out to their people in the very best way. So we feel like that's a very important thing, and that's what we're doing at the Ukrainian Bible Institute. In Ephesians chapter 1, verse 3, the scripture says, "Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us in the heavenly realms with every spiritual blessing in Christ." And through these last 16 years and going on 17 years, we have enjoyed being able to reap and be a part of the blessings that He's giving to us spiritually. And we're just so thankful to Him for that. We started out the year in a little bit difficult way, though. When we arrived back in Ukraine, we found out that our landlord wanted his flat back, so we had to move. And there was ice on the ground. This was in February, and so Mary Lee and I started packing all of our suitcases and gathering our things and pulling it across the ice after we found a location in the next building. So now, you see in this, and I don't know, could we possibly dim the lights a little bit? Down here in the front especially, because I want to be able to see Mary Lee's smile on her face. Really good. You'll notice that Mary Lee has a smile on her face. I have another picture where she doesn't have the smile, but I promised her I'd use the one with the smile because she likes that one better. But it was not fun trying to move on this ice. We had to be very, very careful. But, you know, that's what happens when you're doing the Lord's work. You're working with whatever the Lord puts in front of you. You try to do the very best job you possibly can. There's the next slide. So anyway, we had to move. And bless their hearts, we have a lot of our students and staff that would help us with this too. So it wasn't totally upon our shoulders, but we're very thankful for them. At the Ukrainian Bible Institute, we start every morning with a devotional. And this is our devotional time together. And this is a time where we can help train these guys that are going to be preachers of the gospel in the future. Each one of them takes their turn to preach at our chapel service in the mornings. And so they get a lot of work doing that, and it's good for them because it's excellent training. Mary Lee teaches a lot of the women's classes, and they love her as she teaches the women's classes, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a moment. Then we also, from time to time, have visiting teachers come along. This particular picture has a guy from Athens, Greece, Dino Roussos. Some of you may know Dinos, and he's a wonderful guy. And he's doing the seminars as well, and we're glad to have him with us as he teaches and trains people there as well. This is a picture of our students. Have a great group of students at the Ukrainian Bible Institute. It also includes our staff. And this is the new entrance to the building that we have in Kyiv. Very thankful now that we're in Kyiv. The work continues to grow and expand, and we're having more students, and we're being able to train more students there than we have been before. Occasionally, we have some special courses. And this morning, I was over at Woodland West, and some of you may know the brother here from Woodland West, and his name just absolutely slipped me for a second. Randy Todd. We had lunch with him today. You know how sometimes you forget things? I don't know about you guys, but the older I get, I do that occasionally. I forget, especially names, it seems like. But anyway, Randy came over, and he and Phil Pendergraph, who was in the next picture, they were the ones that were teaching a class, and this class was a special class on church leadership. We're always glad to get some of the Americans over there to teach and train. We have 2 full-time Ukrainian teachers in our Bible in the school. But occasionally we have these guys come over. I love this picture of Phil. He looks like he's totally into what he's teaching. And I thought that was great. Then I'm able to teach some special classes occasionally as well. This is a class that I teach on church history. There it is. And I love teaching. This is one of my favorite classes, and we try to go through a long bit of church history and teach people church history. But we take students all the way through the Bible, so they get courses on every book of the Bible, plus these special classes, and it's exciting to be a part of that. Here's another guy that's from this area, Wayne White, and he came over to teach a special class as well. And anyway, we've had George over there to teach some classes before, and we're glad to have George over there. This is Mary Lee. In this class, she's teaching a special course on women of the Bible. And she called it Extraordinary Women of the Bible because there are so many really extraordinary women in the Bible. One of the things I've loved about the church all of my life, my grandfather was an elder in the church. My father was an elder in the church. My grandmother and my mother were very involved in the church, and I love that. And I've seen how the church cannot exist and be what it really is without our extraordinary women in the church. So, ladies, thank you very much for all that you do in the Lord's church. The ladies also like to come over to our house and have a meal together, and so Mary Lee loves to cook a meal for them, have them in our home, show them hospitality, what hospitality is, and they love that. And occasionally she takes them out to eat at one of the local restaurants. By the way, this restaurant is one that has extremely good steak. It's called the Very Well Cafe, and that's what they call it in over there. So it is a very good cafe. Bob was over there a while back, and he got a steak, and he said, I believe that was one of the best steaks I've ever eaten in my life. So all of you need to come over to Ukraine and have yourself a steak. Then one of the things that we love is that our students are not only taught in the classes, but they go out and they work, and they're training in personal evangelism and getting out on the streets. The guy that's in the blue shirt there, his name is Bogdan, and he loves to just get out and talk to people. And he says, I don't hit them with the Bible, I don't try to beat them over the head with the Bible, but I talk to them and we invite them to church, and it's very effective. So he gets a bunch of the other students out, and they go out and they work this idea of teaching people. You'll notice there's a small stand right there in front of the guys, and those contain a lot of the books that are produced by Eastern European missions. And they're given to us, of course, free of charge. We're able to hand those out and invite people to study the Bible, to study books about the Bible, and to come to church as well. And so it's a beautiful thing. You'll also notice in this next picture a little child. We were able to hand out some children's Bibles and children's books that EEM produces. Great evangelism tool. I was talking to one of the guys, actually Wayne White, the other day, and he was saying one of the things that just blew him away was that after he gave his final test in his course, he said they finished the test, they grabbed their books and grabbed their table and went out and started doing evangelism. He said, that's the way it ought to be. It's just a very practical type thing. The guy that is in this blue and pink shirt, he has gone through one of the rehab centers that is operated by one of our former students. His name is Slavic. And he's taken a lot of guys through that, and then some of them he's sent to UBI. Most of them have graduated from UBI, and they're going out and doing a wonderful job in starting some new congregations and establishing churches. They're excellent because they know where they have come from in life. They know that they've been down. They've known how terrible life is when you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, and you get out of that and you come to Jesus Christ, and it makes a big difference in their evangelism because they're able to really talk to people on the streets. So we're very thankful for that. Of course, as a result, we end up baptizing people into Christ. This particular baptistry, by the way, was actually built in Donetsk before we had to leave because of the war. We didn't get it in full operation in Donetsk, so we ended up moving it to Kyiv, and we've got it in good operation there, so we can use that baptistry. And the other congregations in the Kyiv area that don't have baptistries can come over to the Ukrainian Bible Institute and use that one, and we're always happy to let them use it as well. This was one of the women that was out on the street that she had a small child, her little daughter. She's cute as she can be. And they were walking down the street. They talked to them. They started coming regularly to our congregation that we've started there in Kyiv. And she was recently baptized into Christ. After the baptism, of course, we try to get together a little party for the person who's been baptized to welcome them into the Lord's church and let them know how wonderful it is and how exciting it is to be a Christian. And so that was being done at this particular time. Then this congregation that we started, it's now about 2.5 to 3 years old. We started it, and we started out, and the first Sunday we had about 20 people that were there, and it's growing. This is actually the Tuesday night Bible class that we have at the Pozniki Church. This is our youth meeting. We have a guy by the name of Bogdan who leads that youth meeting. And then we have some children's classes going on. And all of this takes place in the building that we're using for the Ukrainian Bible Institute. This is a shot of the congregation itself. And we're pretty regularly now having anywhere from 60 to 70 people at the congregation. And so we're excited about the growth that's taking place there. One of the things that excites me is that as people are getting into the church, learning things in the church, they're amazing as they're beginning to reach out and do things on their own. Last summer, when Mary Lee and I came back to the United States for a little while, the congregation there built all this to have their own vacation Bible school. I was amazed to see what they had designed. I thought, well, I wonder what they're doing with this boat. So I wrote back over them and said, what's your design for the boat? What are you doing with that? Are you acting like you're taking some of the kids on the Sea of Galilee or something like that? They said, oh, no, we're teaching them to do world evangelism. And we're taking them on the boat and acting as if we're going to some other country where we're going to preach the gospel and share the gospel of Christ. I thought, what a great idea for children to be doing that. Put that in their hearts early in life. And that's what they're doing. This was the group of children that they had for that particular occasion. Isn't that exciting? Wonderful. Then we, for the first time this year, had a group from Let's Start Talking come over. Actually, there were two ladies. And we were thankful that they came over. We had about 30 studies set up for them as they came. And this is Mary and Althea. And they did a great job in doing these studies with people. Then we were wondering, okay, how can we do some follow-up with that? Because we don't want to just let these people go without doing some follow-up. So we had lined up a few things that were possibilities. And then all of a sudden, one Sunday, a man showed up at church, and he says, I've heard about what y'all are doing, and he said, I've just recently moved to Kyiv. I'm from Florida, and I would love to teach English classes and help these people that have been learning. I said, praise God. You know, it's amazing how God does glorious things. And so he's still there right now, working and sharing the gospel. And he says, I don't want to just teach them English. He said, I want to make sure that they're learning the gospel of Jesus Christ as we do this. And so that's what they're doing. So we were very thankful for Let's Start Talking and them starting there and doing a good job and encouraging us. We also have a number of special seminars. This is a seminar that Mary Lee taught for our ladies. And she was teaching some classes on Me and My House Will Serve the Lord. And the ladies loved that, and they did a lot of the decoration and getting things ready. Mary Lee did the teaching, and it was a wonderful time. This was a seminar that I was able to hold in the University of Pedagogical Sciences in Kyiv. This was a seminar on marriage, and they asked us to come in there, teach this course on marriage. We could use the Bible, because they're wanting their teachers to learn more effectively how they can use the Bible in their classes and in the schools. And we've taught classes on Christian character and ethics. And so that was a wonderful time of seminars as well. Then we taught another seminar. This is a special seminar that we have that we involve people that have been listening to the television program in Ukraine. We have a brother there that preaches there for this for the television program. He's there kind of in a purple shirt over here to the side. His name is Sasha Prokopchuk. He does a marvelous job in his preaching on television. He's got a warm heart, loving heart. I mean, people are drawn to what he has to say. And then he has seminars a couple of times a year. And it's beautiful to have these people come. They listen. We've had a number of baptisms at each one of these seminars, and so it's just a great opportunity to bring people to Jesus Christ. This year we also had our graduation. We had as our theme of graduation this year, Never Stop Doing Good. We want them to not only preach the gospel, but we want them out there serving people, helping people, doing good. That's what Jesus did. He went about doing good, and as a result, lots of people wanted to come to him. Well, that's what we want people to do in Ukraine. This was some of the decoration. Mary Lee's really involved in getting the decorations to where they look really nice. Have a very special time for our graduates. This is myself and Natasha Maluga, who interprets a lot for me. She's kind of the right-hand person at the school. She's amazing. She's been with the school the whole time that the school has been in existence. When I came there, I had a lot to learn. And I tell people now, I learned nearly everything I did from Natasha. She taught me a lot, so we're very thankful for her. And then this is me and Mary Lee at the graduation as well. Then this year was a very special time for myself and Mary Lee and all of our family. We were able to get our whole family together. We don't get to do that very often since we're over in Ukraine. But this year we had our 50th wedding anniversary, and this is our 4 children, their spouses, and 8 grandchildren. And we had a fabulous time there and a fun time celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary. Then this year we also had the 20th anniversary of the Ukrainian Bible Institute. And Bob got to come over to that. We were very thankful that he was there. And we had a good crowd. We brought in a lot of the people who have been in that war area, and we paid for their travel to Kyiv, their place to stay, and their food while we were there. And they were so thrilled, and they said this was such a blessing for them because many of them are in a very place that's really down. And so it really lifted their spirits to have this. Here is Bob and Dasha, who is in charge of Eastern European missions there in Kyiv. They were giving some kind of award, and it was really special, and we appreciate so much them being there. Then this is a kind of a picture of the whole group that was able to come to the 20th anniversary of UBI. Now, I just wanted to say that this is really exciting to have this kind of anniversary because it says we've been consistently doing this for 20 years, training preachers, sending them out, having them involved in evangelism and preaching the gospel and starting new congregations. And I believe that this is a place that is a very, very good investment of the Lord's money. To be able to do this in this kind of way so that the gospel can not only spread in Ukraine, but elsewhere in the former Soviet Union and all over the world. So we're very thankful that we could do this and be a part of it. We also are involved in some benevolence work with refugees that have had to come out of that war area, and we help them with food and clothing and medicines, and we get them together frequently. Many of them have been coming regularly to the congregation that we started there in Ukraine, the Pozniki congregation, and we've been delighted to be able to have them and start teaching them about the life of Jesus Christ and what Jesus has done for us. We also have some of our students and our people in the church involved in going to the Burns unit in Kyiv, and again, we help especially families with small children that have been burned, help give them some medications and bandages, whatever they need to help in their situations, because many of them don't have a lot to work with. So we're thankful we can help in that way as well. And, of course, we love working with children. Got some great children there. I was showing this next slide in one congregation, and somebody came up to me afterwards and says, that little boy with a smile, I could just take him home with me. You know, he's really cute. They both are really cute. Of course, these particular kids are members of the congregation. Their families are members of our congregation there in Kyiv. But we're also able to go into some schools and teach in some of the schools in the area and teach character in those schools and be involved with that. This lady, her name is Mila, and she is just a delight. She's very creative, really works hard with the children with all kinds of crafts, as well as teaching them their Bible lessons. You can kind of see the little craft things that they have there in their hands, and she just loves doing that. Now then, I want to show you about a 10-minute video. I'm going to go back. We'll start this video in just a second. I just wanted to say it's a video that kind of shares a little bit about the whole 20 years. So pictures are going to go by pretty fast, and you'll see these pictures. A lot of you won't know these people, but you'll get the idea of some of the things that have been going on over the last 20 years. And that's what I really want you to see. The work that's been going on, the people that have been trained, lives that have been changed, and how we're continuing to baptize many people into Christ, and how our students and staff are out working. And so, watch this video for just a few moments. I know that was pretty rapid going through that, but it gives you a sense of what's happening over there and why we get so excited about it. It's a great work. We just are blessed to be a part of it. And again, I want to thank you for being a part of that work as well, and encourage in the future even more involvement. We'd love to have you even more involved. Maybe even some of you could come over and see the work firsthand or be involved in some way over there. So we're thankful to you for what you've done. I notice you probably noticed in there about how that we have had 201 graduates and they're working in 65 different congregations in Ukraine. One of the things that just amazes me is that because the work has gone so good in Ukraine, and I think UBI and Eastern European Missions has really had a big part in that, there are more churches of Christ in Ukraine than all of the rest of Europe and Russia combined. And that has happened since the wall came down. So we're so thankful for everyone who has gone over and helped and contributed and is making a big difference there. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I think now we've got a song of invitation, and if there's someone who wants to obey the gospel, I mean, these people were obeying the gospel. I know you would, if you haven't, you ought to. It's the greatest life in all the world. So we'd like to encourage you to come as we stand and sing.